CHaRM is an initiative of Live, Thrive Atlanta. It's a 501c3, and CHaRM is one of our initiatives, one of our programs. The Center for Hard to Recycle Materials accepts materials that are too bulky or too hazardous to leave curbside. We know that the pandemic has created a lot of issues in our lives throughout the past 6 months, including proper waste disposal. So first, I'm going to go through 5 fab things that you can always put in the recycle bin, whether it be on your curbside or if you live in a multifamily home. Livable Buckhead also has the flyer that they can share with you, but you can always put your aluminum can. You can always put paper, mixed paper, as well as office paper. Metal, which is your cans, your soup cans, your food cans. Plastics 1 and 2. Plastic 1 is always going to be your drinking. We always have a lot of noise here at CHaRM too. So plastic 1 is your drinking bottles. Plastic 2 is usually a milk jug or soap or orange juice. And cardboard. We all ordered a lot of things from Amazon during this time, and cardboard, we all are very deep in cardboard. So what we want to talk about here at CHaRM is the things that we also take these 5 fab things that you can put in your curbside, but we take things that you can't. I know all of you have been busy cleaning out your closets, cleaning out your basement, cleaning out your garage while you've been at home, and those are all things that you can bring here to CHaRM to take. Textiles, we'll talk about those first. We work with the American Thrift Store. The American Thrift Store, 100% of their proceeds goes to the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. So in there, we accept all household goods as well as textiles, meaning usable clothing as well as unusable clothing. Towels that may be threadbare, curtains, bedspreads, sheets, all of those things that you didn't think you could recycle or give to Goodwill, we can take those, and those are used for insulation as well as dog tags. Another thing that you have in your home, I'm sure, is paint. Everyone has paint, whether it be 100 cans of paint samples until you figure out which exact color of white you want. Bring that all down to CHaRM, and it's made into alternative fuel. You're also finding old chemicals that once you used on the lawn, bug spray that you had for your plants or your garden. When you're finished with that, you need to bring it to CHaRM so it can be properly disposed of. Other things that we take here are glass, mattresses, tires, electronics. There's a lot of confusion, it seems, about electronics. Electronics are anything that ever requires electricity. So all of those cords, the drawer full of cords that you have, that all the cell phones that you no longer use, all of those can be brought to CHaRM and they can be recycled. Old cell phones, old laptops, they can be brought here, and we will destroy all the information that is on them. That is guaranteed that your personal information will not be shared with anyone. So it's a great place it's a great time and a great time to bring all those things down to CHaRM that you cleaned out from your house. Any questions that you have about materials that aren't on the list, if you go to our website, livethrive.org, there is a CHaRM tab, and under that tab it lists all the materials we accept as well as if there's any fee associated. We are not funded by the City of Atlanta. They do make donations to us, but we are a 501c3. We do survive. We are sustainable by grants, sponsorship, and a small minimal fee for the materials that we bring down. So please come down, clean out your house, come down, and we'll be glad to take anything you've got, or at least try. We hope so. Are there any questions?
Peggy, how's everything going with the pandemic? How's CHaRM changed with the pandemic?
Okay, with the pandemic, we had to take some precautions for our staff as well as the attendees. So it is required that you have an appointment. We only can allow 15 cars every 15 minutes on the site, so we can see up to 360 people a day, which we have been doing. The appointments are like 15-minute intervals. Pack up your car, go onto the website, make your appointment, come on down. Please wear a mask. All of the requirements and the guidelines are on the website when you make your appointment. Please separate your materials. And I think one thing that's very educational that's come from the pandemic when people have brought their materials to CHaRM is separation maintains the value for each one of these materials, because most of the time it's clean, dry, and loose, which means it holds its value for recycling.
We have a question from an attendee.
Katie,
can you hear me?
Are you seeing any questions come through?
Yes. Can you hear me?
No questions?
Yes, can you hear me?
You got one?
Sorry for the technical difficulties, everyone.
Katie, are there any questions that are being asked? I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. Great. One question that we have is can plastic bags that hold vegetables be recycled with grocery bags, the clear plastic bags?
Okay, the rule of thumb and the easiest way to remember about plastic film that goes with plastic bags, whether you take it to a Kroger, Publix, Target, or bring it here, if it stretches, it's plastic film. If it crunches, it's not recyclable. And those are things like grapes. A lot of vegetables and fruits come in those crunchy bags. You can send those to TerraCycle, TerraCycle.com. You can get a zero waste box and put those type things in there.
Thank you, Peggy. Feel free to put any other questions like that you have in the chat box, please.
Okay, we have a few other things that we accept here that I think are very unusual, and we can pan around in just a second. We take cigarette butts. Cigarette butts are the most littered material in the world. Millions and millions of cigarette butts are out there every day. Unfortunately, they are consumed by birds as well as they go into the water system and they're consumed by fish, which what does that mean? It ends up coming back to us. So with this bench actually is made from recycled cigarette butts. Now the filters on cigarette butts are 90% plastic along with some fiberglass. So any reason not to smoke, that's a good reason. The cigarette butts can be recycled. So if you don't in your workplace have a station set up for people to smoke, or if you do, I should say, you can collect those and bring those down to CHaRM.
I'll also say, don't put them in your city recycling. They can only be recycled here at CHaRM and facilities like this.
That's correct. Okay.
Let's go check out the rest of CHaRM. I think Peggy's going to share kind of some other places and things that are recycled here.
Another thing that causes a great deal of issues within our city water system is cooking grease. We do live in the South, so we all tend to fry things, bacon, fried chicken, tortillas. Cooking grease can actually be recycled into an alternative fuel. We work with a company called Southern Green. The fuel that they make actually generates the power for most of the festivals here in the city. The Atlanta Dogwood Festival is completely powered by Southern Green and recycled cooking grease. So that's another strange thing that you may have in your kitchen that you can actually get rid of. When you pour it down the drain, it causes problems with the infrastructure. It gets caught on the pipe. So just imagine after hundreds of years of us pouring our cooking grease down how our infrastructure is. Maybe that's the reason we have so many potholes. Again, that is something that's a specialty item for CHaRM. And we can take a look at something else that's open. Mattresses. Okay, mattresses that is something that can be recycled. Unfortunately, the foam tops that go on top of mattresses cannot, but the mattresses are recycled by the Atlanta Furniture Bank, another local nonprofit here in Atlanta. They actually provide jobs for former homeless vets. They deconstruct these mattresses, then restuff them, recover them, and they go to disaster areas, like for hurricanes, for the fires in California. Last year, 1,500 mattresses that came from here were recycled by Atlanta Furniture Bank and given to shelters. Lots of goings on here at CHaRM. It's closing time, so we have a lot of things happening here. If we can talk about glass. Glass is a 100% recyclable commodity. It absolutely can be recycled. We separate by color here because it brings more value. And again, this is another one of those materials that it holds its value when it's sorted and separated. Some of you may live in a municipality that accepts glass in the curbside. If not, this is a great place to bring it and drop it off. Also, the DeKalb Farmers Market has a place, and I think several locations DeKalb County have glass drop-off. So check with your local municipality on how they handle glass, but it is 100% recyclable.
Hey, Peggy, we have a question. Someone wants to know, are latex gloves recyclable?
Latex gloves at this point in time here at CHaRM are not. I did see that TerraCycle had an opportunity for you to send face masks and gloves to them. So go to their website and check that out.
What about face masks?
Same thing with face masks.
Same thing with face
Yeah,
masks?
it depends on the material they're made of. You know, it's best to choose something that's made of fabric so that you can wash it and reuse it. That's the choice. Anybody have any questions about glass? I can't believe that nobody's asked about glass.
I have a question about glass.
Okay.
So I live in the city of Atlanta. Sorry, let me put my mask back on. How is glass recycled? What's the best kind of protocol for glass for city of Atlanta right now?
I know that the city of Atlanta is going through a research time right now with several haulers. At this point in time, Pratt Industries is the hauler and the processor for curbside recycling. They are working on being able to sort out glass and send it to Strategic Materials, which is the same vendor that we use here in Atlanta for recycling. So it's pretty effective. Yeah. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about this American Thrift Store. It's a very similar business model as Good, with the exception of everything that they have, they find. So all of these textiles that they do accept that aren't usable, they do send them to, if they're still usable and they could go to a foreign country overseas to be used by someone, they do that. If not, they're shredded and made into dog beds, insulation, or dog beds and insulation, I think, are the two things that that's most popular for them to be made of. Household goods that we do accept, those are things, things that your kids outgrew, but household goods are things like dishes, pots, pans, picture frames, all of those things you can bring down. Books is another thing that people have brought an enormous amount of down here. Books for recycling are things like old encyclopedias or old yearbooks. Or old yearbooks. If it's something that yearbooks and old encyclopedias are things that nobody really wants. Most kids don't even know what an encyclopedia is. Those are things that we send for recycling. There are so many books that other people would like to use, so definitely they can go into a thrift store.
Hey, Peggy, I have a question for you. What if I have a old toilet? Would it, is that something that you guys take?
Yes, we're smiling. Old toilets. This is a program that we're in partnership with the City of Atlanta Watershed Department. They are giving initiatives for people to replace their their old toilets into low-flow toilets. So bring your old toilet here. It gets actually
Gently used?
Well, you have to unload it and put it in the bed. But it's something that the porcelain is actually a rock. It's regrown getting road. So it's absolutely recyclable. Any other questions? Chemicals and paint. The type chemicals, these are actually household chemicals. So these aren't industrial toxic chemicals. And believe it or not, most of the things under the sink in your kitchen are toxic. If you look at them, all the drain cleaners that you have, a lot of the aerosol cans that you have, the pesticides, all of those things you should always read on these things before you throw them away. They need to come to a place like CHaRM to be properly disposed of. 96% of what comes to CHaRM is either reused, recycled, re-engineered, which just means it's taking it from one form to another, such as the plastics that are made into alternative fuels and the cooking grease made into another format is really being re-engineered. So take a look at all the things under your sink, and I bet you're going to be surprised at how many of them are considered to be hazardous.
I have a question about batteries. So when it comes to batteries, do you recycle? Do you take any batteries? What should I do with my batteries?
Okay, we accept all batteries, including car batteries. We do not accept alkaline batteries. In 1996, all of the harmful chemicals were taken out of alkaline batteries, our answer to that is you should always buy rechargeable batteries. They are 100% recyclable. The unfortunate part of an alkaline battery is there's millions, and that's what's going into the landfill. There are places that take them back, and they even charge you. Be sure you ask what they do with them because they're ending up in a lined landfill. They're still going to landfill.
Speaking of that, I heard maybe you have some insight on like local clothing bin drop-off and that you see at gas stations around the city. Where is that stuff going? Is that a safe place to drop off your textiles if you don't live near CHaRM?
I would always suggest when you see one of those bins to go home, go on the internet, and look up the company, see what they do. There's several of those companies during the pandemic that have actually gone out of business. So it's something that you do need to check on to see where they go. There's quite a few great ones around the city, but there are some of those bins that have been put out by people that don't have, that they're not a nonprofit, they're not a reputable company. So I would definitely, before you put clothes in there, check those out on the internet.
It looks like you take composting here too.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something that is easily brought here? And what's accessible for compost?
Okay, compost, we partnered in January with Compost Now. You have to go on and become a member of Compost Now, and you can drop off your composting here. When you're coming to CHaRM, if people are coming here once a week to make the drop off, it's really easy for them to also bring their compost. But you do have to be a member of Compost Now to drop off. It's less expensive when you bring it here than it is to pick up. Yes?
Have any more questions?
Okay, my suggestion is make an appointment, come on down. You want a copy of the video to check it out. When school starts back up, we do a lot of work with kids on STEM programs. A lot of teachers bring the kids down here for half a day, and we teach them about proper waste disposal, which is really sustainable materials management is the proper name for this. So if you're interested in doing something like that, even doing a webinar with your school or a community group, please reach out and let me know. These guys have my contact information, and I do appreciate your time. Always recycle. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone, again. This was a great live webinar from CHaRM, and we thank you again for being with us today. Have a great Tuesday, everyone. And please, as always, you can direct any questions about CHaRM to us, or if you have questions about how to recycle something, we can let you know. So thank you very much.